We have another massive update from Woj revealing that the LA Lakers are interested in Bruce Brown among many teams ahead of this year's trade deadline if he's dealt away from the Toronto Raptors. So we're going to break down what this report had to say because Woj had a few things to say about the Toronto Raptors and their approach to the trade deadline regarding Bruce Brown and some of the pieces the LA Lakers have to potentially give back to the Toronto Raptors if a trade were to happen, and a whole bunch more in this video. So without further ado, let's jump into the first topic of discussion, or the main topic of this video, and it's the report from Woj, basically saying that if Indiana had not stepped up with a 2-year $45 million deal, there's a very good chance that Bruce Brown would have gone to the Lakers for the mid-level exception. So there's a big market for Bruce Brown, and continue to watch the LA Lakers with Bruce Brown if there's a pathway. So that's a pretty loaded sort of message there from Agent Wojnarowski, obviously one of the league's most locked-in reporters, breaking down some details because, firstly, it's interesting that Bruce Brown, after coming off a championship, having a year where he earned himself a bag from the Indiana Pacers. I mean, he's making over $22 million per year. Now, a player or a team option is there for the 2-year sort of deal, but Bruce Brown would have signed with the LA Lakers on a mid-level exception. So I hear that and I say, okay, maybe the Pacers overpaid for Bruce Brown. Maybe if the Toronto Raptors want to keep him long-term, then maybe we might not have to give him that sort of lucrative contract that, he's sort of, I guess you have to pick up the team option, but maybe there'd be less competitors, less suitors to, then giving him that $20 million per year. Maybe you could keep him at less money. But frankly, I guess if you were to offer less money, he'd go to a team that's further along in a rebuild, more into a contending status than with the Toronto Raptors, if you let him enter free agency. But it's crazy that he almost went to the LA Lakers, given some of the comments he's had, some of the back and forths he's had with guys like D'Angelo Russell, some of those players there with LA. Obviously, the Denver Nuggets last season knocked out the LA Lakers, so he'd be jumping ship to the sort of rival. The Nuggets and the Lakers have a deep rivalry there, but on a mid-level exception. So clearly there was interest. So I feel like he would have taken a little discount to go to LA to play in that big market, to probably up his trade value more because all eyes are on you when you play for the LA Lakers. But now a trade could potentially happen. It could be facilitated with the Toronto Raptors, the LA Lakers there, because the Lakers are eager to get a trade done. They've been struggling as of late, and part of it's their defense, a part of it's their shooting. A lot of problems are just going around the league, and Darvin Ham just refuses to play guys that, aren't actually going to be able to provide value on the defensive and offensive end. And Bruce Brown fits seamlessly with LeBron, with AD, provides a little bit of shooting boost, and obviously has won a championship last year, so it's kind of a guy that can fit in anywhere. So what could the LA Lakers give back to the Toronto Raptors? It makes sense for the LA Lakers side to want Bruce Brown, but obviously the Raptors, again, even though he could be a free agent this offseason, even though we are entering that, we want that flexibility, as Masai Ujiri has sort of echoed during his press conferences. So what the heck could we get back from the LA Lakers? Well, looking at their roster, again, we're not getting LeBron, we're not getting AD. They are shopping D'Angelo Russell a lot ahead of this year's trade deadline. Now, he has played a lot better as of late, but given the fact we have Emmanuel Quickley, heck, we have Dennis Schroeder, we have Kyle Lewis Jr. as a potential prospect on this squad, and then other guard depth now. Again, shakeups are bound to happen, but we also have RJ, we have Gary, we have Grady Dick, we have Bruce Brown here now at this point. And trading Bruce Brown for D'Angelo Russell straight up with no sort of assets involved, no picks, no nothing, doesn't make sense to me. So if we were to accept a deal from the LA Lakers that involves D'Angelo Russell, I'd want some draft capital on it. Maybe that Lakers 2029 first. Again, it's far in the future, but it's a tradable asset because the Lakers, again, LeBron James, AD, we're not sure how they're going to hold up, or if LeBron's definitely going to be retired by 2029. I mean, people thought he'd be retired now at this point, but the Lakers, that might be a good pick, especially if you have limited protections on it. So, then you might take back that deal, even though it's far in the future. That could be a very valuable asset, even in short-term trades. So that's one thing that could come back from the LA Lakers in one of those types of deals. But if we're looking at more player-centric guys on this roster, because Masai Ujiri is obviously looking to not have a deep, long rebuild. He wants patience with this young group, but he's looking for young players. The way he acquired Emmanuel Quickley, the way he acquired RJ Barrett, even though there is interest in draft picks and the flexibility and all those types of things, I mean, if Masai Ujiri can get some interesting young pieces, then he'll want to do it. So who on this roster could fit that mold? And Rui Hachimura is a piece that, again, is pretty solid. I mean, 25 years old, so still pretty young. 11 points per game, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. shooting, he did a really good job joining the LA Lakers midway through last season and really put up some buckets, scored in the mid-range. In the playoffs, had some massive games for LA. This season, Darvin Ham's been moving him to the bench. He's been shaking up the lineups, and he's been kind of all out of whack, so maybe this could be a little bit of a buy low on a Rui Hachimura, who we've seen provide a lot of value to the Lakers in the playoffs, maybe get some draft compensation as well from it. That could be pretty interesting. And one thing about these trade packages I should mention as well, given the fact that Bruce Brown was just traded, you can't attach other Toronto Raptors assets to it. So it's not like we could add Bruce Brown and Chris Boucher and make the salaries match to acquire a bunch of guys back to the Toronto Raptors. So that's also one thing to keep in mind with all these trade talks and things going on. But the LA Lakers also have a guy that might not intrigue a lot of Raptors fans given his lack of shooting, but if you could develop that shooting, he is an elite defender. He's young. He's a great cutter. He finishes at the rim. Jared Vanderbilt, the Vandalorian, would be a really cool piece. And again, flexibility is the name of the game lately for the Toronto Raptors. And, he's locked in on a 1, 2, 3, 4 player option, 5 years, or till 2027, 2028 season. So you might look at that and be like, Ben, that's kind of counterintuitive to what you're doing. But frankly, I think it's a pretty good deal for the Vandalorian. And, his stats this season, he's dealt with some injuries, had some limited minutes, so you can't take them all into account. 3 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. But he's a versatile Swiss Army knight out there on the wing. Again, doesn't provide a lot of shooting. Masai Ujiri's emphasized shooting, so maybe we wouldn't go after him. But plays the power forward spot. We need to bolster that front court a bit, add to our defense, because our defense has taken a hit since losing OG Anunoby. Again, Jared Vanderbilt would provide some of the defense, help with some of the defense we lost in dealing away OG. So, again, not a guy that I'd love to be the centerpiece of a deal, not a guy that I think is going to be game-changing for the Toronto Raptors, but a guy I'd like to have on the roster. So maybe if the Lakers could attach a pick to the Vandalorian, to Jared Vanderbilt, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it, especially if we shake up the roster, see how things sort of go along those lines. But again, the lack of shooting is a little bit ugly. And then we can look at the look at the rest of the roster. We're not getting Reeves. He's been made untouchable in DeJounte Murray trade, so I don't think there's a world where we get him for Bruce Brown. But the rest of the roster, again, Jackson Hayes has had limited minutes, hasn't done much for the Lakers. You can look at a couple more of their prospects. That's a Hachimura shooting splits. Max Christie is really the guy. Only, Jalen Hood-Schifino, the guy drafted ahead of Jaime Jaquez Jr. from the Miami Heat. So he's getting some heat lately, but hasn't done much, not much to really read into. Athletic point guard that dealt with an injury to start off the season. But Max Christie is a guy that's 20 years old, 21 probably in a couple weeks, but 5 points, 3 rebounds. He's getting legitimate minutes on this LA Lakers team. He can shoot the ball, he can space the floor, and he's a really solid defender. Max Christie, 6'6", shooting guard. Again, we're dealing Bruce Brown. He's a little bit smaller, defender, rebounder, and stuff. Max Christie has done a really good job at locking up. He's had some moments. Again, these Lakers rookies, even though the Lakers are losing right now, they're out of the play-in, they're deep in the bottom tier of the Western Conference. Not super far out of it, but in outside the plane now at this point. So they're running a lot of their vets. But when Max Christie's gotten some opportunities, he's done a really good job of playing defense, specifically at a big game against Zach LaVine, just clamping him up for some possessions. I know it was a highlight reel going around Twitter and Lakers, Reddit, and places like that. So, Max Christie is a guy I wouldn't hate coming back to the Toronto Raptors. Again, I want some draft pick compensation if we're dealing Bruce Brown to LA. I want that, and then some of these pieces that are also interesting. Bruce Brown's a really good player. He would help the LA Lakers immensely. So, and there's a market for him. A lot of teams are interested in Bruce Brown with his flexibility, with everything that's going on. Again, not the value of Pascal Siakam, not the interesting deals we heard from OG and Pascal, but definitely some value back to Toronto. So let me know what you guys think about the Bruce Brown going to the LA Lakers. Again, it's not going to be a headlining package. Bruce Brown could also be really good for this team if we want to keep him around long term. So I don't know what you guys think. You guys are the best to make this far. Subscribe to the channel. I'm signing out. Cheers.